Welcome to another edition of your morning workout talk brought to you by your one and only literary Pharaoh. Yeah, guys, another Monday morning. Had a good workout, woke up around 3 and went to the gym, did what we always do, hit workout, battle rope workouts. We did some heavy, those heavy balls that heavy balls, it sounds silly, but those weight medicine balls, that's what you call them, medicine balls. Um, we did some work with those. We picked them up and threw them against the wall. Pick it up, throw it against the wall. We did ladder work with these little step ladders, floor ladders on the floor, and did a lot of battle rope stuff. Did squats, did lunges, did abs. So had a pretty good workout. I did some back stuff too with the dumbbells. So pretty good workout. I got a good sweat in, and on the way to work, on the way to my slave labor. All right. But I find I was watching television this weekend, and I would see these commercials come on about politics, and I couldn't help but notice the simplified messages, the dumbed down messages that are being pushed in this political arena with Kamala Harris and Trump. They continue to use silly tricks, and I say tricks because it's so infantile. The approaches that each candidate is taking in terms of their campaign, and how they're using commercials to push their message about being the one you need to vote for. But the crazy thing about it, to be honest with you guys, to let you guys know what type of circus environment we're living in, the insane asylum that we're in, is that none of your votes count. None of these things matter. Like, they're putting on these commercials, right? And they're telling you to vote for this candidate. You have commercials telling you to go vote, but voting doesn't matter. I don't know how many times I need to stress that. Like, whether 100% of Americans vote or 100% of Americans don't vote, they already have who they want to be elected. This is all a game. It's entertainment. It's a mechanism to pull on the emotional temperament of people, to sway it as the pendulum swings from one extreme to the next. It's all configured to cause distractions. They use the same simple, dumbed down messages. It's either about abortion, the border, taxes, and in the recent decade or two, this transgender movement has been a big thing. That's another topic. So it's four main issues that they use, and that's what I call hot button topics, hot button issues, the issues that move the meter. And what they do, they use the entire year by means of mainstream media to push forward the messages that they want to indoctrinate your brain with. So once you're fully indoctrinated into the agenda, it doesn't matter which side you're on, because it's all a game they're playing. Whether you're for abortion or against abortion, whether you're for transgender rights or you're against them, whether you're for having open borders or not, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. Which side you're on is irrelevant. It's a moot point in that regard. What they do, and I say they, the controllers, because this is a psychological warfare. Everything that's done comes from a basis of a psychological construct. It's not done because it's genuine. It's disingenuous in the terms of it. They put forth a message that says this is what it is, but in actuality, it's something else. But you're not privy to the something else. You keep looking at the surface. You keep thinking that I need to vote for Trump, or I need to vote for Kamala, because if I vote for Kamala, this is going to happen, or if I vote for Trump, this is going to happen. You idiots. Nothing ever happens. When has something ever happened? When Obama got elected, what happened? Nothing. When Clinton was the president, what happened? Nothing. It's all a game. Now, you may have small incremental changes in terms of the way society is ran, but most of the changes that occur are based on the back of death and war and death, because death comes by war and war brings forth death. So when you talk about the Patriot Act, where the government was given the right to spy on its own citizens, that came by way of war, which was propagandized, right, and orchestrated by your own CIA, your own government, when they orchestrated the 9/11 attack. Our own government orchestrated that attack. This is not something new. America has always done this. They are the empire. They have to control the narrative, because those who have the power have the power of the pen. And whoever has the power of the pen, they can write whatever narrative that they want and create the narrative that they want. And then, like idiots and like emotional sycophants, we glue our eyes to the tell-lie vision, and the tell-lie visions give us lies, which shapes our vision, therefore shaping our discussion and discourse. Then they use the voting to get you to pick each side. Unbeknownst to you, not realizing due to your ignorance that the voting mechanism and the choosing side tactic is a divide and conquer strategy. It's always been that way. The only way you can control masses of people is to divide them on frivolous issues. And yes, I call those issues frivolous because if you understood the bigger agenda at play, if you understood who the real enemy was, then these issues on the surface become frivolous and they become irrelevant. Who gives a damn about abortion right? Let people do what they want. I don't care. All right? They use those things as a way to divide people. And it's unfortunate that you see these commercials, they come on and people are really watching them. Yeah, they'll say, this is Kamala Harris and I approve this message. And it shows about, it'll talk about how Trump has always been rich and Kamala, worked her way through college and she's for, they paint the picture that she's more for the common person. These people don't give a damn about us. It's an act. When will you guys wake the F up? Kamala doesn't give a shit about you. Trump doesn't give a shit about you. You know who gives a shit about you? You. Stop. We have to get over this idea that these systems that are put in place to govern us, we don't need governance. We, the people, are the ones that govern. We don't need any external entity or any external enterprise outside of us constituted in a way to say this configured system or the idea, all right, in theory, we're going to govern you and we're going to do things that benefit you. No. They control you. And the government that you guys are looking at is really not the government. That's just a shadow government. You say, what do you mean by shadow government, Literary Pharaoh? Well, it's a shadow government because think about it. When you're walking in and you have sunlight and you're walking outside, your image, you are the real you walking. And your shadow, shows based upon the sun reflecting or refracting off of you. Okay? And it causes a shadow to emerge. The shadow is not the real you. The government that we see is not the real government. That's a shadow government. The real government hides behind the veil, and we never know what they are and who they are. It's really ran by a handful of families because those handful of families have all the money. They control the money. See, once you destroy the monetary system, then you give power back to the people. But as long as money is the system that runs the world, we're always going to be slaves. We're always going to be driving in traffic going to work. We're always going to bend our backs and to money. We're always going to, keep quiet and not speak up because we're afraid of losing our jobs because it's based upon money. So it's a matter of fact. It's not a matter of conspiracy. It's a matter of fact. They can put those they could put those things over you because you don't know any better. People don't know any better. Because those who control the money control the world. They can dictate terms. They can buy politicians. They could cripple countries by going to war. They could create fake wars, proxy wars, by saying this person is the enemy, we need to take them out. They could create fake biological weapons and have the news spread the message to infiltrate the minds of the people to make the people believe that there's some type of, biological weapon that's going to put your life at risk and put you in a state of death. And so panic ensues, and therefore the masses of the people end up saying, yeah, let's go to war to stop the enemy. But there is no enemy. The only enemy is us. The only enemy is our ignorance, because we are allowing people to play us. We are the enemy because we allow it. We allow the lies to invade us, and then we end up moving off of lies. Every time you turn on the television, they're talking about news and politics. Guys, it's all noise. If you shut off the politics and you realize, hold on, things aren't as complicated as these politicians are making it. Life is pretty simple. The majority of human beings on the planet we all want one thing. We all want to be cared for. We all want to be loved. We all want to be nurtured, sustaining our existence. We all want to have shelter, and we just want fairness. It's simple, right? But they've taken a lot of those simple components and just muddled it in divisiveness, which causes us to be divided, and it doesn't cause us to be unified at all. We become polemic towards one another. Vitriol ensues. And you have people who have a deep hatred for anybody who is affiliated with the opposing party. So if a person's a Democrat, they'll hate a Republican. If a person's a Republican, they'll hate a Democrat. You have families who are torn, fighting and arguing over this nonsense, over politics. You know why? Because you've tuned into their frequency. You've allowed their vision that they've told to you through the television to shape your vision, therefore shaping your discourse. So when you speak from that vantage point of what they've provided to you, because of your emptiness and your impotence and your ineptitude of your mind to think for yourself. Your cognitive skills are very low, so you think that you're cognitively on par, because you feel as if, I keep up with the news and I watch and I know what's going on. I know the current events. Anybody who's up to date with current events and up to date with news topics, anybody who's like that, those are the ones you need to stay far away from. Those are the most ignorant ones. Those are the dumbest ones. The ones who don't plug into the system, who think for themselves, who have a more cerebral mindset, are endowed with intuitive, skills and intuitive senses that allows them to navigate this treacherous plane of deceit in a much more wiser way. See, when you're plugged into the system, you can only move off of what the system wants you to move off of. So therefore you become a slave to the system. You do. Because you're feeding off the information that they're giving you. When someone gives you something, they control you. If you trust someone to prepare your meal, then you trust that person with your life. You say, why? They're feeding you. Yes, they're feeding you, but you don't know what the hell they're putting in your food. So you're trusting that person to prepare your food without putting anything harmful inside your food, inserting any harmful ingredients inside your food that can kill you, that could be lethal to you. You trust them. Same thing with getting information from mainstream media, or what is known as legacy media. When you trust media for your information, then you're trusting them with your life. I'd rather live life with my own thoughts and be wrong than to get fed information from the mainstream media and be right. Because if I'm wrong off of my own energy of seeking the truth and I'm wrong, I can live with that, because that allows me to evolve and that allows me to pivot genuinely in an organic way, in a way that's going to allow me to be wiser next time. You see, when you sit and get information, it causes mental atrophy. Your brain loses the capacity to stretch itself and to think for itself, because it's okay to be wrong when you're trying. Babies, when they're learning how to walk, they have to fall. But the journey of learning how to walk comes with falling. Well, the journey of seeking truth comes with being deceived. There will be times where you will not find the truth and think that you were correct. You'll think that I found truth. You'll think that, hey, this is right. And sometimes you will be deceived. What you thought was right comes out to be actually wrong, but that's okay. If you're seeking truth and you're thinking for yourself, that's all I ask for. And in due time, you'll start to see the system for what it is. I'm speaking from experience, folks, of what happened to me. And me right now talking to you guys, I'm not saying that I know it all. I don't know it all. But I know what I do know is that the current system, as the way it's currently constructed, it's a duplicitous system to manipulate, to brainwash, to indoctrinate, and to keep us all distracted. And to make us more embedded into the system of what we currently know as the military-industrial complex. That's all it is. Because it makes you love going to work even more, because you know you have to pay those bills and pay those taxes, and that's all they talk about. We're going to make it the middle class and make it fair for the middle class. We're going to make the billionaires pay their fair share. That was one of the slogans. That was one of the things that Kamala Harris said. We're going to make the billionaires pay their fair share. Good luck with that shit, Kamala. Who's going to make those billionaires pay? They're not going to pay anything. You can't make them pay anything. Those billionaires run the world. And there's some people who aren't even billionaires. They're not even on the radar. They're not even trillionaires. There's no metric. There's no numerical metric used to quantify or qualify these sort of people that are in charge of printing the money. We call them the money printers. These are the handful of ruling families that rule the world, who have extraterrestrial influences and mingle in a dark, esoteric areas. They mingle in the dark, esoteric areas. And I say esoteric because it's secret. It's dark because they're using those powers and they're using the information for evil. Now, everything that's esoteric doesn't equate to evil, but how you use that power is evil. You know, a gun could be used for good and a gun could be used for evil. It just depends on how you wield the sword. If you wield the sword for destruction, then it's evil. If you wield the sword for protection, then it's good. So it's only a handful of families that rule the world. You can't make billionaires do anything. If whatever is being done is going to impact the ruling class, those families, the ruling class, you better bet your bottom dollar that it's not going to happen. But you idiots are watching the television thinking that these things matter. No one has the power to make anybody pay anything. The way the system is constructed, it was made for the rich to continue to stay rich and get richer, and it was made for the middle class to remain in their state or get poorer. It's hard to elevate in the middle class. It is. Now you have stories of people who've made it out, who are doing okay, but that's not the norm. The norm is that you stay in your position. That's what you call the peasants, the slave class. We're the peasants. Where you rank on that peasant scale varies. You have some that are high level peasants and low level peasants, but we're all peasants. People who sit at home and count their money, like Donald Duck, jumping into his gold coins. Remember that cartoon? These people, that's how they live. And it's not even, the money doesn't even excite them. It's more about them controlling. The money is just a symptom or a benefit of the control that they've waged upon the people. The system that they've wielded allows them to always win, no matter what. The system was made for you to fail, but it's okay, because the brain is very powerful. If you've convinced yourself that this is the way life is supposed to be, and you've convinced yourself that going to work and paying bills and that's what life is about, then that helps you sleep better at night. I don't want to, cause you to have nightmares. Continue to remain in that stupor and continue to live your life. If that helps you sleep better at night, that's fine. But I'm not like that. If the truth makes me uncomfortable, I'm okay with it as long as I know the truth. And the truth is that the majority of us are under what I call a massive psychosis. It takes time to peel yourself out of that state. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It takes a lot of reasoning. It comes upon the mind of the person that's seeking truth. It brings forth the strong urge to have questions answered. And when those questions can't be answered, you have to move off of that thing that you thought was true. Because when things are true, it illuminates. Inevitably, it illuminates. It cannot. You don't need it. When truth is easy, it's not easy to find, but it's easy to digest. Lies, you can tell when you're being lied to because you have more questions than answers. That's when you know you have a lie. It doesn't connect. You may not be able to see the full picture. You may not be able to see the full frame, but you know that there's something missing. And that knowing that something's missing without knowing what that particular thing is that's missing, that's okay. Those are the small baby steps that it takes to move off of this world and start to seek truth on your own terms. If you're listening to me right now, this is a start. We're all in this together. My journey started in my mid-30s. I started to like everything that I thought the world stood for. I'm like, whoa, what? And I had to go back of past events. I started to look up all the things that we were told are a certain way, whether it's the theory of evolution about how we all evolved from apes, whether it's the narrative about the small hats, you know who they are. I can't, you say their name, I could get banned, but you got, you can't say anything about these people. You say things about these people that's unfavorable, they call you anti-Semitic. But their narrative about being oppressed and going through their little Holocaust thing, I had to unlearn a lot of things. The things that they taught us about Hitler, I had to unlearn a lot of things. And one domino after another started to fall, and the house of cards just collapsed. And I was in the place of vulnerability because we're so used to hanging on certain truths, and that's what motivates our actions and motivates our thoughts. And just like if you are a religious person, you believe in the God of the Bible, right? And if that's what you believe in, it's hard for someone to tell you that's not God, that Bible you're reading is a farce, it's a plagiarized text, it has nothing to do with spirituality. But it's hard to pivot off of that because you're going to ask yourself, well, what else am I going to believe in? We're so used to hinging our reality on something that when that's taken away, we are incessantly, all right, impatient of just letting it just sit, letting your mind just sit without knowing nothing. We always have to have a substitute ready to substitute what we've lost. And that doesn't need to happen. That's where meditation comes into play. When somebody strips you and takes away the foundation from underneath you, it's not the end of you. It's just an opportunity for you to move into another plane and insert or start a different foundation. And your foundation has to be based off of truth. It's hard. It's hard when you've been living a lie. The things that they have taught you about slavery, about this transatlantic slave trade story is incorrect. I'm not saying slavery didn't happen, but the way they told the story is totally incorrect. The story about Christopher Columbus discovering America is totally incorrect. There were already copper-colored people in America. Back then, it wasn't called America; it was called Turtle Island. They ended up giving a name to the land called Turtle Island. They ended up calling it America because they attributed it to the conquistador named Amerigo Vespucci, some Italian dude. They named it after him. You see, when people come and infiltrate lands that are indigenous to a certain particular people, when you start changing names, you start to write narratives to fit the name change. So therefore, the original people of Turtle Island, being the AKA melanated people, or what you guys want to call black people — I don't like using that term because no one's really black. Black has such a deep layered meaning to being black. It means that you don't exist, you're non-existent, you're dead. Black is death. Black means non-existent. Black means that you don't count. So I would implore you guys to stop calling yourself black. Just call yourself, I'd rather you call yourself colored or melanated or something else other than black. I freaking hate that damn term. All right? Because black is always attached to evil. Black is always attached to like a dark aura. It carries with it a negative connotation. When you hear the word black, you think of something that's not good. Black's, it symbolizes dirtiness. So with that being said, we have to be very careful. And I had to unlearn everything. The stories that they taught us about Adolf Hitler, about him being this evil guy that was trying to take over the world, not totally true. The narrative was bent. The story about Bin Laden being the mastermind behind 9/11, totally incorrect. The 9/11 narrative, totally incorrect. The reason why we went to war in Iraq, we were lied to. I mean, you have to start asking yourself, like, damn, when does it end? It never ends. Everything is lies. That's the point I'm trying to tell you guys. That's why I'm telling you that we live in an insane asylum. Even the Weather Channel, when meteorologists get on the news and they're telling you about the weather is not something natural where it's like, okay, this is what's happening because we have no control. The weather is controlled. The weather is controlled. It is. The weather is controlled. You won't think that. No one thinks that. Weather's not controlled. It's natural. Okay, you keep thinking that. They control the weather. Technology out there. There's tech out there that controls weather. You don't have to believe me, but it's true. It's true. So, you just have to unlearn everything, and it's okay. If you think that there's some kind of power or some God that makes things happen for you, there's nothing. It's you that's making it happen for yourself. The power of belief outweighs any other power that's in the world. Your power. If we are made up of 50 trillion cells, all right, the average human, not the average, well, every human has 50 trillion cells, and each cell is like an individual. Okay, I want you to understand that what you're made up out of. Each cell is like a supercharged battery, and you have 50 trillion of those in you. If you believe something, your voice dictates to those 50 trillion cells what to do and what to believe and how to move. And though the 50 trillion cells operate individually, but when it comes down to the master voice, which is you, the God, because you become the generator and the organizer and the dispenser of your own reality based upon your thought, what you think and what you say, and how you live and what you strive for becomes what you are, along with what you eat. So there comes a time that even though those 50 trillion cells are operating individually, they do come together to benefit you based upon what you think and what you say. Those 50 trillion cells will abandon their right of individuality and drop their uniqueness and come together as one, because they want to be dictated. They want to be told what to do by the master voice. And who is that master voice? That master voice is you. So it's hard not to believe in a God if that's all you've been trained to do since you were little. You were born into it. I understand that. It's hard. What happened to me is not something that's natural. It doesn't happen naturally. I have a very stubborn spirit. I'm very determined. And no matter how good something is, if there's something wrong with no matter how good something feels, because it's all about what feels good. No matter how good something feels, if there's a small shred, a modicum of imperfection or flaw, I'm off of it. I'm quickly off of it. If you told me that the Bible is an inerrant word of God, meaning there's no error, and all I find is contradictions, and I'm reading the book of Genesis, and it doesn't even, the timeline of the creation of the world and man doesn't even align to the timeline of reality, and I'm supposed to just believe that and just go by faith? No, I'm out of there. I'm out of there. Many of you guys know that, but it's just, you don't know what else to believe, because you're like, well, if I stop believing this, what else am I going to believe? That's the worship gene that's in us. But be thankful to our creators, those alien beings that created us. Yes, we were created by the Anunnaki beings. We weren't created by some god in the sky with a big ass beard, with a stick. No. We were created by Anunnaki beings. Let's create man in our image. That's why you have different types of people on the planet, because the Anunnaki beings were similar to us. They were just bigger and taller. Skin colors varied. You had blue, green. You had some that were albino white. We were created in their image, folks. Every time you see the singular term of the word God in the Bible, it's actually a plural term. They've curated the Bible, they've edited it to make it seem like it's one God, which is why a lot of you guys, when you read the Old Testament and read the New Testament, it seems like it's a bunch of different gods, but you're made to think that it's one God because he's doing all sort of stupid shit. One minute he's wiping out a whole village and killing people, and another minute he's sparing people's lives. You're like, hold on, why? But we read into it and we base it off of this God being always right, that everything he does is righteous. So we just cover it up and say, well, the things that God does, let that stay with God, and God works in mysterious ways. Don't question him. No, I'm going to question things, especially when it's written in a damn book. Unless I'm getting it from the horse's mouth, I'm going to question things that are written in literature. You have to, because who's writing that? Who says that this is legit? We're supposed to just believe that this book is a word from an extraterrestrial being that we've never seen, and we're supposed to hinge our entire human existence on a book written by the hands of men. But these men, out of all the men in human history, God decided to dictate his message to a handful of people to write the Bible. Shit doesn't even make sense. It's a fairy tale. But I understand it's hard, because if you were born believing that, what else are you going to believe in? You need to believe in something, but you don't need to believe in anything. Believe in yourself. There's power with believing in yourself. Your 50 trillion cells are begging for you to believe in yourself. Yes, those cells are individual and they all operate individually, but they'll abandon their individual sovereignty to listen to the master voice. That master voice is you. 50 trillion cells. Each cell is like a high-powered battery. So you are electrically charged. You can do whatever the hell you want if you put your mind to it. That's where they get that saying from. I know it sounds cliche. You can do whatever you want. You put your mind to it. You really can. You really can. But how much of your mind are you going to put into it? If you're distracted by politics, if you're eating nasty junk foods, genetically modified organisms that you're inserting in your body on the daily, I mean, how can your cells work for your benefit? You know, and enable you the opportunity to maximize your existence on this planet. How will that happen when you're putting in filth in your body? How can you drive your car if you're putting in the wrong fuel in there? How can you drive your car when you're supposed to be putting gasoline in your car, but you're putting water in the gas tank? How is that going to work out for you? When you put the wrong stuff in your body, you're inoperable. You're good as dead. But you know what? It's okay if you're good as dead. Keep drinking your 5-hour energy drinks. Keep drinking your Monster drinks and continue to get those heart attacks. Keep drinking your Red Bull energy drinks. Keep drinking that shit. Keep going to the gas station, eating and drinking what they provide you. We live in an insane asylum. When you guys wake the hell up, everything that's provided to you is for your own detriment. There's nothing out there that they provide for you that's gonna benefit you. Yes, it's that bad. You may be thinking it's that bad. Yes, it's that bad. This is not me being hyperbolic. Once you start to understand the lie that we're living under, you start to realize, oh damn, everything is made for our destruction. Yes, wake the hell up. That's the only way you can tread this existence with wisdom, is to understand where the landmines are set. If you think that the field is just safe to walk on, oh, sadly mistaken. You're gonna walk, step on a landmine, and get blown the hell up. We are under what we call a menticide, the slow killing and the slow destruction of the mental capacity of the common man. We can't think for ourselves anymore. We can't see straight, let alone even look to even see to begin with. Trying to see straight, that's an accomplishment in and of itself. Yeah. We're just being manipulated, folks. But hey, you say, what are you gonna do about it? Well, you can first understand that you're being manipulated. That's a start. That's a start. Everything that we've been taught has been a lie. The religious institutions covering up the truth, hiding artifacts, ancient relics in the Smithsonian, not letting those things come out and letting people study them, because people will understand where we truly come from. Because the controllers control that. Because when human beings understand where they truly come from, they'll understand that, hey, we're being oppressed here. You know, we're the slaves. Slaves can't be given too much knowledge, because knowledge is what empowers people to do certain things. When you operate off of knowledge, fear becomes destroyed, because you know that there's a deeper truth that needs to be sought out, and you no longer live underneath the framework or underneath the oppressive emotional base of fear. Your mind is now in a place where it can live freely, because you understand that there's something true that needs to be sought out. But when you're limited in your scope of truth, you're fed information by the mainstream media, then you're left without a choice to live in fear, waiting for the next catastrophe to happen and waiting for your government to come save the day. When you've done that, you've allowed yourself to be taken over and raped by the system. It's really against your will, but you're willing it to happen because of your ignorance. It's like it's like those date rape drugs. When a person takes that type of drug, due to the chemicals, they're incapacitated from being aware of what's going on around them. So therefore, that person is taken advantage of. Well, that's what's happening to the average American. We've been all given a date rape drug, and we're totally getting effed every day. And the minute someone tries to wake you the hell up, oh, that person is a conspiracy theorist. He's a quack. He's a nut job. Get rid of him. That's fine. I'm glad that my station isn't, my YouTube channel isn't popular, because no one hardly listens to what I'm saying, but there are many, many people out there that share my same beliefs. And we can't really speak that loudly because the numbers are against us. There are more of the blind, ignorant sheeples out there than they are us. There are more of them than us. And the more of them, they are the gatekeepers. They're the ones that keep it going. They're the ones that are... You remember during the pandemic, you had people telling on other people who were doing what they wanted to do. You had people calling police when people weren't wearing masks, or if certain people weren't following those protocols. You had others doing the dirty work. It wasn't all the government, it was the people. We are the incubators of the system. We continue to incubate the system to give it life because we believe in it. If all of us says F paying taxes, what can they do to us? They can't arrest all of us. They can't. And if they strip us of everything, and let's say, hypothetically speaking, right, they strip us of everything. We have no cars. No one has any houses. They take our cars. The banks come and take your home. They take everything. That's fine. Let them take everything. Then if the common man, if the average man can't go to work, if the middle class doesn't work, then the system is destroyed. Because the system, again, it's a military industrialized system. It needs industries. It needs people working. If people aren't working, the system is killed. We have the power to kill the system by not going to work. If all of us collectively just don't do it. If we don't do it, the system is dead. It's dead. Where are we going to get food from? It doesn't matter. No one would. The money stops. No, money stops. And they continue to talk about this. Oh, America, we're $1 trillion in debt. We owe money. Like, do you guys realistically think that this debt's going to ever be paid? Like, it's laughable, man. Again, I encourage you guys to watch the documentary. It's on YouTube. Watch Zeitgeist 1 and watch Zeitgeist 2. It's called Zeitgeist. Just watch it. Just watch it. Just watch it. Just watch it. It's funny because when I watched Zeitgeist years ago, when I was deep into this religion stuff, I couldn't see what they were trying to say. That's the power of how the mind can make you blind. I heard it. It made sense. But in my head, I was like, Jesus is going to come back and save the day. It stopped me from actually embracing the deceptive social construct that I was in. It allowed me to just marginalize it and overlook it, because at the end of the day, the Bible talked about how evil the world is going to be. And so this is the way it's supposed to be. It caused me to be indifferent. All right? It caused me to be docile as well, because I didn't have the energy to even fight. It was just like, well, let it be. These things are supposed to happen for the coming of this Christ to come save the day. And I'm like, nah, there's no one coming. There's no one coming. The only one that's coming is us as a collective. The human consciousness, the elevated state of consciousness, the elevated state of awareness, that's called the Christos. Christ is the awakening. Christ is not a person that's coming. The awakening is going to come. But I don't think it's ever going to come in our lifetimes. It's going to take some time. Because too many people are dumb. They're too dumb. You'll know when the awakening is happening when the majority of people on the planet are healthy. As long as people are unhealthy, fat, obese, diabetes, hypertension, all this other crap that's going on with people, as long as we remain in that state, physically unhealthy, then that just means that we're mentally unhealthy. Those two elements are aligned. You can't separate them. You can't cause or incur a distinction between that. The physical embodiment is just a representation of the spiritual embodiment. They both are a mirror to one another. So you may not be able to see spirit, but you can see spirit by seeing the physical body. We can't be awakened if we are unhealthy. You say, why does it matter? You can't call yourself a child of God and you are unhealthy. You're not a child of anything. You're a child of the system. And you're made to believe that God's going to come and save the day. If you lack the discipline to get up and change your life and do something about your health, changing diets, doing things that are uncomfortable to the point where the things that are uncomfortable become comfortable and you make yourself love what you hate, then until you do that, then you're not shit. When you can do that, then you're something. That's a gladiator and a warrior type spirit. Many of you lack it. Many of you guys can talk a spiritual game that comes from that fake ass Bible book you talk about, but it has nothing to do with spirituality. Spirituality is just as physical as it is unphysical, meaning that they both work hand in hand, because how you operate in the spiritual will dictate how you operate in the physical, and your physical is just the symbol or the emblem in this third dimensional realm to allow people to conceptualize what you've done in the abstract. It comes together. It comes together. So chew on that, folks. That's my morning workout talk. Brought to you by Literary Pharaoh. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Peace.